Hello and welcome to a special edition episode of Jazz Biz Buzz. Today we are observing the International Women's Day and we are celebrating the theme Embrace Equity because we are realizing that equal opportunities is just not enough. It is important to be fair to everyone coming from different backgrounds and different walks of life. To celebrate today, we have invited four exceptional women to engage in conversation with. Please welcome Jahara, entrepreneur and social activist, Sara Qureshi, aerospace engineer, Zile Mariam, environmentalist, and Zertaj Ahmed, space science educationalist as well as a mathematician. I'd like to ask you what inspired you to become the woman that you are today?
So I think it was not a person, it was more to do with circumstances. What I saw was needed and what I thought I could help change. And that's why I got into tech. And then once I got into tech, I found that there were hardly any women in tech. And so I was inspired to actually make that change happen. I went to various universities, I went to companies to find out what the problem was and why there were so few women in this industry, which is such a natural industry for tech, for women. And so that's how the journey actually began. And then I looked at the startup ecosystem. I saw maybe if more women were starting companies, there would be more women in tech as well. And so that was another passion that I took forward and said, okay, I need to make sure that there are more women in tech. And also the men who are in tech or in the startup ecosystem need assistance because they need somebody to invest in them, they need mentors, they need people to guide them in order to scale the companies that they are setting up. And so that's how the journey began, and it's just proceeded on that same path.
You know, it's different events that happen in your life. But for me, what was the starting point was when I did this online course on Introduction to Mathematical Thinking. And that's when I realized that all of the studies that I had done in school and college were actually useful and I could apply them. And that's when I, started a job at a software house as well. So that is where everything came into life, I would say. Everything came alive. So that was my ticking point when I thought that, education should make sense.
MSc करी थी अपनी zoology में, microbiology में मेरा major था, and it all started with that. So जो thesis दिया गया, so that was on ternary effluent treatment. और वहाँ से it all started. कि nature कैसे role play करती है to treat waste. So basically I treat waste. जो industry से waste produce हो रहा होता है या निकल रहा होता है, so उस waste को कैसे alternate solutions के साथ और बेहतर तरीके से treat भी किया जा सकता है और उसमें value addition करके उसको एक और product में convert किया जा सकता है.
Okay, I was very focused from a very young age, and I believed in the fact that we all have a goal, and there is a purpose that we are sent to this world. And once you recognize that purpose, then you, make a roadmap to achieve it, and have to achieve many stepping stones like your education, your personal growth, your professional growth to achieve your goal. So I think that focus led me to focus, determination, and I think persistence towards it, despite challenges and obstacles, led me to be what I became today.
What do you think is the role of the policymakers? What can they do to encourage, more women coming into the STEM fields?
I think the first thing policymakers can do is include more women at the policymaking level. Because when there are women in those positions, they will know how to involve many more women and how to come up with policies that ensure that there are more women in the tech workplace. So that's the first thing that they can do. Second thing they can do is make sure that the timings, that the kind of facilities that are available to women far exceed what is the norm. So I know that this brings about a few problems because men say, hey, why special treatment for women? But women play a multiple role in society. And so they need to be in the workplace, they need to be taking care of their households, they need to be taking care of families, they have community responsibilities. So when you're juggling so many things, you need some special treatment. Otherwise, it's impossible for one person to do so much. So I feel that at the policy making level, if these things are done, and also at school level, encourage more young girls to take part in technology competitions, in making sure that they don't see tech as something that girls cannot do. So, women can see problems and find solutions to them. I've seen young girls who look at problems like waste and how it can be solved using technology. I've seen young girls who look at education or healthcare, and they can find solutions to those. So if they are encouraged at that early level to tinker with finding solutions, you'll see that many more of them will come into the tech field when they go into university and then when they join workplaces.
What do you think we as educated women and as a society in general can do to encourage young women to come into STEM fields?
That's a great question. I feel since I'm associated with the education field, I feel that the first step is in the schools. So I am with these students, and they obviously bring in the school the mindset, the thinking from home. What is there is, oh no, this is not for girls. So I teach robotics. I train teams on robotics. And I see very few girls in that, and that hurts me. But whenever there are girls who come in, I encourage them, which I feel should be the thing. So teachers, educators, they play a very important role in gradually changing that mindset and normalizing having girls in science fairs, in science projects, and engineering projects. The same goes in colleges and universities. I also believe that at the employer level, there should be things that are normalized. Like when people are doing hiring, even we as women, we consider, acha, it's a young girl, she'll get married, she'll take leaves, she'll be off work. All those thoughts come in. So I think at multiple levels, there should be support. There should be policies that help them to go through that work-life balance as well, to make it supportive and normal.
So generally we hear that a girl child is actually a better student in the classroom than a boy child, right? But when it comes to the practical field, there's only 10% women in the STEM fields. Why do you think that is?
I think there's a barrier. So society का ज़्यादा barrier है, वो role ज़्यादा है, as compared to कि classroom तक वो पहुँच गई है, it's a big achievement. इस वक्त यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में 80 से 90% हमें फीमेल्स नज़र आती हैं, लेकिन प्रैक्टिकल फील्ड में वो सिर्फ 10 to 12% आगे ग्रो करती हैं. और जो माइंडसेट है फीमेल्स का वो ग्रोथ की तरफ तो है, लेकिन सोशल बैरियर्स इतने ज़्यादा हैं कि वो अभी तक उस चीज़ को कवर नहीं कर सकी हैं. और उसमें एक पार्ट वो है जो कि पेरेंट्स प्ले कर रहे होते हैं, जो उनको पढ़ा के उस क्लासरूम तक पहुंचा देते हैं. लेकिन उससे अगला रोल वो होता है जहाँ पे उनकी शादी होती है या वो आगे जाती हैं जिस घर में, वहाँ पे अगर इतना ग्रोथ माइंडसेट नहीं है और उसको एज अ पर्सन, एज अ ह्यूमन नहीं लिया जा रहा, सो वहाँ पर वो बैरियर सबसे ज़्यादा होता है. और उस बैरियर को ब्रेक करना जो है वो दैट इज़ द मोस्ट डिफ़िकल्ट थिंग. और अगर इफ़ यू आर लकी इनफ कि आपके पास एक ऐसा स्पाउस आपको मिल गया है जो आपको आपकी ग्रोथ में आपके साथ खड़ा हुआ है, तो फिर sky is the limit. You can grow.
So we do see a lot of women these days are coming into the workforces, and there are a lot of women who are coming into the STEM fields these days as well. However, at the top level, we still see that there are lesser women who become leaders. Why do you think that is?
मेरे ख्याल है leadership जो होती है ना, that comes with number one with individual thought. It's not just following a trend. You have to be very creative, very radical, very innovative in your approach. And then it's also about a lot about confidence. It's about self-recognition, what you are, what your talents are, और आपका एक confidence level होना चाहिए that you want this to happen and it should be that way, and then seeing it through. So initially जो हमारे सोसाइटी में एक तो ख़वातीन को वो कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं दिया जाता, शुरू में ये कह दिया जाता है ये फील्ड लड़कियों के लिए नहीं है और वो नहीं है और ये प्रैक्टिकल नहीं है. Then they have a lot of there's a lot of social pressure. I would say there's workforce pressure, but there's also a social pressure. And and then so what is lacking is not the capability, I would say, but basically it's the encouragement and the attitude of the society towards it, which does in a way is an obstacle to their growth. And obviously, if you talk about leadership roles, they are very intense in terms of responsibility, in terms of time, in terms of dedication. So what I primarily see is basically a lack of confidence or a lack of initiative in that position. And generally, all over the world, women are underrepresented in leadership, but more so in STEM areas. And it's also they do feel some hesitation. Well, if they feel it, it's also because they don't find the right encouragement, both in a professional environment and at a social environment as well, in a family setup. So it's more about attitudes. It's a lot about confidence, and it's a lot about being able to go against the norms. That's how I see it. And but that all boils down to your own personal strength, your personal growth, and your personal convictions. If you're focused and if you have faith that you can do it, I don't think. I mean, if I give my own example, my company, it's the first of its kind in the world, and it's being led by a woman. I mean, there's no other man in the world who's doing what I'm doing at the moment. So I would say that I always took it like
taking the initiative yourself.
Yeah, so that the professions have to be gender neutral. It's not. It's the quality of your work. It's your professional competence that matters. It's not your gender that matters. So if you take that, if you focus on that, rather than being, belonging to a specific gender, and you try to prove yourself with the competence of your work and the quality of your work, I don't think that it's impossible. It is possible. You can do it, because at the end of the day, it's what you contribute that counts, and not your gender.
Absolutely.
But one other thing I would want to add is that it requires personal development from a very young age. You have to focus on your personal growth. You have to focus on leadership qualities and team building qualities. That mostly women are, they're good solo players. They're good at their work. They're good at their job. But if you have to be a leader, you have to work as a team. You have to lead a team, lead from the front, and you have to move as a team. So these skills need to be developed earlier on with a focus.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
In the field of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, women comprise only 10% of the workforce. Let's change that.
Jazz Business, designed to help you grow.